Hey Josh,
Yeah, well,
you ever get tired of wearing this cape?
nah.
Why not?
Gives me superpowers.
What superpower do you have?
I can breathe underwater.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Everything Scuba. I'm Lyle.
And I'm Josh. Lyell and I are scuba instructors here in the Midwest, and we love diving. It doesn't matter if it's cold water, warm water, salt water, or fresh water, or a dirty puddle of water.
We'll dive in it. The real reason we formed this channel was to make you as passionate about scuba diving as we are. But first of all, we got to let you in a little secret. Neither of us wears a cape underwater.
No, but the real reason that we have superpowers is the gear that we wear. And the gear allows us to stay underwater, and we never tire of being underwater.
The other part of our gear that we need to really pay attention to is this piece. Our brain is our most important piece of diving equipment. And so our goal is to bring you some educational content to fill your brain with everything scuba. So if you're a certified diver and you want to learn more and grow and become a better diver, this is the place to be.
Yeah, we formed this channel because we're always asked by people, how did you get into diving? Where did you learn to dive? Why do you dive? Where do you go to dive? What do you see? What do you do? What kind of gear do we need? Every time we go diving, people ask.
So if you're a diver, you want to learn more about diving, if you're someone who wants to know how to get into scuba diving, this is the place to be. Go ahead and click that subscribe button, ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming episodes. So in the world of diving, there are different kinds of divers. There's free diving, where that's a breath hold type of dive. They don't really wear a scuba unit, and they'll descend to a certain depth and come back to the surface.
Yeah, and there's technical diving. These divers generally are spending much more time underwater or going to greater depths, often involving decompression.
And commercial diving. As the name might suggest, these people earn their living as divers, except commercial divers, they are saturation divers, meaning they live at that pressure within a hyperbaric oxygen chamber, potentially on a ship or on an oil rig, and they dive in a much more different fashion, usually wearing a helmet, and they're connected by umbilical cord for their life support. We are recreational divers. This is a recreational sport, and we'll explain in more detail as we go forward what that means in terms of what we can and can't do within our sport. We'll cover a wide range of topics on this show. We'll cover the very basics of diving for those who are just learning and getting into diving, and
we'll talk to certified divers who want to expand their diving knowledge. Maybe they want to go on to an advanced open water status or rescue diver. There are many specialties, or possibly on to the professional ranks of dive master, instructor, or above.
Another part why we love diving is no matter where you travel, you can almost always find a place to dive there, be it freshwater or saltwater. Wherever you go, there's usually a place to dive. And so as we travel, either Josh or myself or together, we want to take you with us. We want to introduce you to some great places to dive here in the Midwest. Yes, you can dive in landlocked state of Iowa, and we love to go to warm tropical environments as well. So wherever we go, we're going to plan to take you with us.
Yeah, and Lyle and I, we're a little bit of gear junkies. We've bought and sold some scuba gear. We've fallen into the pitfalls of bright, shiny new things that didn't work, and we'll be able to hopefully help you avoid some of those pitfalls. And we'll also talk about how to maintain and care for your gear.
Marine life. First of all, I want to thank my niece Chloe for this phenomenal t-shirt. It's a nice thresher shark. She knows I love me some thresher sharks. But part of the reason that I got into diving is I love marine life. I love to see what there is under the water. I also love the aspects of photography and videography for underwater purposes. And so we're going to bring you some shows talking about different types of marine life, fresh and saltwater. And we're going to talk to some specialists who know what they're doing when it comes to underwater photography and videography.
And because this is 2020, the year of COVID-19 and coronavirus, it's had a big effect on the dive industry, for us personally as well as just as an industry. We're going to talk about some differences in what we're doing for sanitation and class safety, some gear cleaning ideas and gear safety.
Yeah, it's all about safety, and that's really it. Safety, safety, safety. When it comes to everything about diving, as instructors, it's our #1 thing that we worry about and take care of with our students. We want to make sure that how we dive and the gear that we use is safe, and so that is a big point of emphasis for us.
So as you can see, this show is literally everything scuba.
So, quick reminder, we can't teach you how to dive over the internet. Simply can't be done that way. You need to spend some one-on-one time with a good instructor to really be proficient. Our goal is to give you some pointers and hopefully put you in the right direction so that you can become a diver or become a better diver. So next we want to introduce a new concept called the scuba doodle. We know that different divers learn differently. Sometimes having a graphic representation of a topic makes it easier to grasp that topic. So if you're a brand new diver learning your first skills, or if you're working toward becoming a dive master or an instructor, and you're delving into the details of physics, physiology, and dive theory, we hope that scuba doodles will make it an easier way for you to learn the topics you need to master. So during this first episode, we wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about why Josh and I learned to dive in the first place and what made us want to become instructors. So we both learned to dive at the same time. We took the same open water class. We started here in chilly North Iowa. It was the middle of the winter, I remember. We had an instructor that worked with us through our confined water classes. And then we were referred to the Caribbean in the middle of the winter, which was nice. So that is an option with the organization that we work with. You can start your training in one area and be referred to a different shop in a nice warm area. And we completed our training on St. Croix in the US Virgin Islands. So we'll talk a little bit about the referral process in some later shows. So Josh, tell me, why did you want to learn how to dive?
Well, as my mom would say, I'm a water baby. All my life, I've loved being in the water, whether it be the ocean, freshwater, lakes, ponds, even the bathtub. I love how it feels to be in the water. I love the buoyancy effects. I love the squeeze of being underwater and the pressure. I've always been curious about what was under there, but never been able to explore underwater, short of my little bit of free diving experience. So that was what led me to be intrigued. What about you? Did you have any reasons?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I actually grew up in the United Kingdom, in the UK, in Scotland, and every Sunday evening there was a show called The World Around Us. And my dad and I would watch that show on a Sunday night, and I was always fascinated by the underwater episodes with the sea life, with the creatures that were there that just seemed completely alien. And so it seemed super cool that you could actually go and see some of that. I love to travel, and as we said earlier, almost everywhere you travel in the world, you can dive there. And I'm a little bit of a photography geek, and so I love photography both above and below the water. And underwater photography brings a whole set of new challenges because of the physics and what occurs there. And so actually this photograph right here is a photo that I took on the very first dive that Josh and I took after we became certified divers. This is in the US Virgin Islands of St. John. This is Missy, our dive master, and we were diving, and this beautiful sea turtle just glided past us, and kind of the perfect way to start your diving career. That was an unbelievable dive. The things we saw that first dive, correct?
Yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah.
So Lyle, that explains why you became a diver and we learned to scuba dive, but what made you want to go on and become an instructor?
Well, I know how diving makes me feel. Makes me feel about as peaceful as I've ever felt. I love setting my buoyancy and just floating above a coral head, checking out the life there. All you can hear is yourself breathing. And lastly, I remember when I was a dive master, getting in the water with Michael Casey one day with two Discover Scuba students. They'd never been under the water before, a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old female. And I just remember watching them, how blown away they were by what they saw under the water. We probably saw several turtles, more fish than you could count. And so the ability to change someone's life that way and to introduce them to something so amazing is just phenomenal. And what I do find that also is the more we know about the world around us and what's under the water, the more we're going to care about that. And so from a conservation perspective, creating new divers is phenomenal. So Josh, tell us, why did you want to become a dive instructor?
Well, so I followed in your footsteps along the way, all the way to dive master. And then when you went on to become an instructor, I stayed a lowly dive master for a couple of years, but working as a dive master, I actually really enjoyed.
He says lowly dive master. He was a phenomenal dive master.
Well, probably the best,
Yeah.
but
Probably.
you know, but no, I really enjoyed working with students who had issues or had problems, whether it be with gear or physical issues, maybe a mental block or limitation. That's a big part of the dive master's job, is to help students get past that. Maybe if there's a student who just needs extra time in the water to become more comfortable. As a dive master and DSD leader, did a lot of pool DSDs and be able to be the first one to introduce the scuba feelings, or the scuba unit and the feeling of being underwater. A lot of people, that was really neat. Kind of like Lyle said, it could potentially change somebody's life. And then the typical progression is, once you're a dive master, to go become an instructor. So after a couple of years of dive mastering, I went and became an instructor.
Well, folks, it's time to wrap things up on this first episode of Everything Scuba. We hope that we piqued your interest in the show and want to join us on this journey.
Yeah, on the next episode, we're going to talk to the uninitiated about what a scuba unit is, how it works, and how they can get their first taste of scuba diving, getting underwater in a Discover Scuba dive.
And don't worry, for you scuba divers who are certified out there, we will have shows talking about more advanced techniques and classes and other items that would certainly pertain to you. So stick around. Click that subscribe button, ring the bell so you don't miss out on any of our upcoming shows. We want you to find your passion with Everything Scuba.
So thanks, I'm Josh.
I'm Lyle. We'll see you next time
on Everything Scuba.